So today we're going to be working on dragging with a young horse and introducing this colt to him. This colt's got about 20-something rides on him. He's a real willing young fella, but he's still green as grass. So the first thing we're going to do is work on that basic yielding of the hindquarters, yielding of the head, neck, and shoulders. I want to make sure that thing is really working for me, that my horse is yielding comfortably, that he's confident in a walk, trot, canter. Because when I introduce a nuisance item, it is going to make him a little scared and going to make him a little uncomfortable. It's okay to go into those realms because we can grow through those, but we don't want to have this horse struggling with the basics. So it's essentially like reading. College is wonderful, but you have to be prepared for it. So same thing with this colt. When we go to this higher education of introducing the tarp on the end of a rope, that's a little bit of higher education. So we want to make sure his prerequisites are there. Prerequisites are head, neck, and shoulders bending, trotting, cantering. Everything's going real smooth. If this horse is going around Mach 5 and I'm blacking out in the turns, obviously I don't want to go hook a tarp to the end of a rope and see what happens, because I'll probably wind up going through the end of the round pin. But if he's walking around pretty confident, then I can introduce this rope, drag it around. He kind of hits a trot there, but he's, not too worried about it. And I'm just going to flop that up and down and kind of let him get used to that. If my colt was real sensitive, I might just drag it on the ground for a little bit. You'll notice I keep my rope off to my right, so if it kind of fell apart, I could just drop the rope, do a one-rein stop, pick up my rope, and start over again. That's really important for when I start in with my tarp. Now, the introduction to the tarp, I'm just going to walk around it. I want that colt comfortable moving around it. I don't want to walk straight up to it because obviously they're going to booger at that. So I want him comfortable moving around the area. I will walk straight up to it here in a moment, but I want the horse comfortable moving in proximity. When I do line up on that, my colt kind of looks down, kind of is a little worried about it. So I'll introduce it. I'll ask him to step up, and he kind of wants to go further than I'd ask. And I just want him to settle in here for half a second and just get it, there we go, just kind of get squared away on there. As he backs up, I'll encourage him forward because I don't want that, but I don't necessarily need him to run over the top of it either. I would really like him to drop his nose, have a look, kind of smell, and get used to that. Then what I'm going to do is ask him to walk around the tarp. Again, I want to give that horse a nice little exit so he feels confident moving around without being too confined. Always give him a way out. That's the most important thing for a colt, is having an exit strategy that's pre-planned. So this is my pre-planned exit strategy. It also mirrors what I'm going to do when I have that rope tied to that tarp. I'm going to be walking a circle around it and just letting that colt get used to that. So as I hook up my rope, I want to make sure that I don't dally. I'm just going to bring it back here by my cantle and just drag it back behind my leg. I do this for two reasons. It helps the colt move forward. And two, if I get into a problem, I can just drop all my stuff and let it fall. I'll keep that right rein short and just have that horse looking at that tarp as I walk off. One of the things that's really important is I don't overbend him and have him come back across my tow rope, so to speak. So as he looks there to the right, he can see it moving around, but it's just kind of, pivoting with him. It's not really dragging. And that's a good way to get him used to it, just a little bit of movement. Now there I got him almost overbent, so I have to use my left rein and kind of bail myself out. So I'll just kind of bring that up on the right side and use that to step those shoulders over. Then I'll go back to moving him around, nice and comfortable. As he gets quiet, I can kind of play some rope out and let that thing get behind me and drag it a little bit. Always going to keep that right rein a little short so that colt can look at it. You can see his right ear cocked off there. He's looking at it, and I'm keeping him bent so that everything goes smoothly. And that's a good introduction to getting used to a tarp dragging on the ground. Just comes in behind him. Again, I keep everything off to my right, so if I had to drop it, I could, and just bring him back into a one-rein stop, let everything settle down. I like to use things that are big enough that they don't catch the wind and chase me. That's kind of important. So his tarp's got a little bit of weight to it. I can obviously hold it with my hand, but I don't want to tie a plastic bag to any of that and it gets up under his tail. That wouldn't be good. But as I go along and just walking out, making my circles bigger, that brings that tarp more in behind that horse. He gets more and more comfortable with that. And it really comes down to our basics. Our preparation is very key to stuff like this. When we introduce a nuisance thing, we want to be really prepared for it.